I speak now of Beowulf and Christianity expressed within it. This is the start of a series I'm doing on Christianity and Beowulf. I'm using Tolkien's translation, J.R. Tolkien's translation, because it is very accurate to the original Anglo-Saxon. But because it's so accurate, it doesn't sound as good as the Seamus Heaney translation, which is not as accurate but more poetic. So I'm using both. I'm going to read out to you the passage I'm talking about. It says, King Hrothgar, and they're being ravaged by this Grendel. They're being ravaged by this monster, this demon, for 12 years. And this is what it says. These were hard times, heartbreaking for the Prince of the Shieldings. Powerful counsellors, the highest in the land, would lend advice, plotting how best the bold defenders might resist and beat off sudden attacks. Sometimes at pagan shrines they vowed offerings to idols, swore oaths that the killer of souls might come to their aid and save the people. That was their way, their heathenish hope. Deep in their hearts they remembered hell. The almighty judge of good deeds and bad, the Lord God, head of the heavens and high king of the world, was unknown to them. Accursed is he who in time of trouble has to thrust his soul in the fire's embrace, forfeiting help he has nowhere to turn. But blessed is he who after death can approach the Lord and find friendship in the Father's embrace. So that troubled time continued, woe that never stops, steady affliction for half-day's sun, too hard an ordeal. There was panic after dark, people endured raids in the night, riven by the terror. Okay, so they're suffering from these attacks from Grendel. It's a demonic force, and what do? They turn to dark powers. So it makes this contrast here. They turn to the killer of souls. Hope the killer of souls might come to their aid. Just the irony is truly incredible there, that they seek their life from he who destroys life. So they're turning to Satan, the devil, instead of to the Lord. So they're totally delusional. And it reminds me of people in the Bible, like corrupt leaders of Israel, like King Ahab, for example, who has all these prophets of pagan gods like the Baals and the Asherah. And, you know, there's these corrupt kings like him. They seek advice from those pagan prophets, and they're not thinking of the Lord anymore. Now, one thing that I find really amazing in this is that it says in the Tolkien translation, it says that they knew not the Creator. They had not heard of the Lord God. They hadn't learned how to praise the guardian of the heavens. Well, about 2 pages earlier, there was a minstrel in the hall. So before Grendel attacked, there was a minstrel, and the Tolkien says, there spake he that had knowledge of to unfold of far-off days. And so the minstrel was singing all these hymns and songs about how Lord God created the world. And everyone in the hall was happy. So they're all hearing about the Lord God. They're all happy about hearing the Lord God. And then 2 pages later, once Grendel starts to say, oh, no, they don't know anything about him, apparently. I haven't heard about him. They knew about him originally. What happened? Well, it reminds me again, like these hopeless, corrupt leaders of ancient Israel, these corrupt kings who forsake the way of the Lord. They go after these pagan gods, and they just totally forget that Well, it sounds like here that Hrothgar and his men have just totally forgotten about what they'd been rejoicing in with the Lord God. So they're totally delusional. They've forgotten what they'd been told. They're seeking life from the powers that destroy life. It's not going to end well. It's not ending well for them. And it says here about how they are, by rejecting the Lord, they're putting themselves in the fire's embrace. And there's a nice contrast there between putting themselves in the fire's embrace, where they could have the Father's embrace instead. It says they're mindful of hell. They remember hell. That's a crazy image. Crazy. They should be mindful of heaven, thinking of heaven, but they're forgetting about that. They're putting all their faith in the wrong thing. So, what do I think? I think it's hilarious. The powerful poetry, dark poetry as well, reminiscent of those Old Testament scenes of the Bible. This is what it reminds me of: these corrupt kings who forsake the way of the Lord and have corrupt pagan counsellors who lead them down the wrong path. That's the image that I think the writer of Beowulf is using here with King Hrothgar, not listening to him who sings of the Lord anymore, but listening instead to these pagan counsellors instead of that one minstrel who knew about the Lord. So, yeah, I think that's the imagery that's using. They need salvation, and it will come through Beowulf. So another video will come to you on this. Farewell.